Hi Libra, welcome to your reading. If you're new to the channel, I do timeless readings, which means that whenever, I sense that you guys are dealing with a little bit of messy energy here. But like I was saying, whenever you find this reading is when you're meant to hear the messages within it. And in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos for Aries and Libra on Mondays. Also, I do want to mention that the deck that I'm using today is the Deviant Moon Tarot. And as always, if you guys are interested in getting a personal reading, my information is in the description below. So I do want to give you guys just a little heads up that sometimes the cards like to flip over in the deck. I do see them, however, I usually don't take them unless they jump out like these ones have. And usually if they jump out in groups that are a little bit too big, I'll go ahead and put them back. And last but not least, my goal here is to get you guys roughly 8 or 9 cards, and then we can get started on your reading. So I'm just going to keep shuffling and try to pull out 2 more cards for you, and we can get started. All right, Libra. So I do want to remind you guys that in case you enjoyed the reading, the best way to let me know is by leaving a like or a comment. But your overall energy here is the Queen of Pentacles, which is honestly, I think it's an interesting reading to be, or an interesting energy to have for a reading. I think that you guys are in a very sort of, I want to say frugal mindset, but that wasn't exactly where I was going with that. I think that you guys are very sort of motherly right now, if that makes sense, because the Queen of Pentacles is very fertile, right? And, you know, it might be in a literal sense that you're fertile. So if, you know, you're not interested in child rearing, I would recommend the proper precautions. But I think that more than that, you're fertile in a metaphorical sense, in the sense that you guys, whatever you plant in the sense of like a seed of intention or an idea, is really going to grow and prosper right now. I think that almost looking at all the little children that she has as ideas makes me feel like you guys right now are in a very powerful energy, especially since I see the World card here as well. And speaking a little bit more about the World card, I see the Page of Cups with the World card. So I'm under the impression that you guys are really closing up a chapter in your life right now. Things are changing, and they're changing at a breakneck pace, right? Things are going quickly. So for sure, you guys need to be able to keep up with these changes, but also make sure not to hold on to things of the past. So I see the Six of Cups and the World card right next to each other. And sometimes that worries me a little bit, because with the World card, there is that fear that you might, you know, desperately cling on to the past and delay these new beginnings. And that wouldn't be good for you. That would be the opposite. You'd be going, you know, backwards. But I'm getting that once you allow these changes to happen, which I think that for the most part, a lot of you are excited for, you're going to see this Page of Cups begin to emerge. And the Page of Cups to me is sort of the beginning stages of a message. So I'm thinking that for you guys, you might be seeing some kind of a love offer coming in, especially if there have been big changes in your life recently. And this could be anything like moving out, getting a new place or something, or getting a new job, maybe an upgrade in like your car situation, anything that would be sort of note, kind of a big deal, I think is going to be what brings in this new love proposal. And I don't mean that in like a shallow way, because all the things that I mentioned up until now were materialistic. Like, obviously you could have a big change in the form of some kind of a spiritual awakening, and that ushers in love. But certainly I'm getting that this is waiting in the wings. So Further on, we have the Queen of Swords and the Six of Cups. Now, the Six of Cups to me talks about nostalgia and the past, right? And then we have the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is very interesting because she is, you know, the most battered and bruised sword of the deck. Rather, queen of the deck, right? So whereas the other queens maybe aren't as keen to take action, this queen has been through war. You can see it on her blade that it's covered in blood, and that's not an aesthetic choice. She's been to war, and she fought for where she is, right? So there is always that sense of a little bit cold, a little bit detached whenever you see the Queen of Swords. She's very smart, she's super business savvy, and very intelligent in everything that has to do with communication or the mental faculties. But either way, you know, there runs that risk of being a little bit too mind centric and not listening to your heart. And I feel like this is sort of an archetype or a pattern that you guys had in your past because the Six of Cups talks about childhood or past. So I think that you guys may have either been around a lot of women like this or were raised to be a woman like this, or I'm getting that for some of you guys, you might have like a mother figure that's like this because I see this full moon in the back, which is representative of the mother. Either way, I think that you need to sort of try to work through that as much as you can because especially if there's something going on astrological wise, such as like a Mercury retrograde, you guys should really try to work with the energies that are offered to you. The moon cycles can be another thing that you can work with in order to, you know, especially if you have some like past trauma with communication of your emotions. For sure, this might be something that you might want to talk about or think about. Either way, sort of moving on ahead here, we have the Two of Cups in reverse and the Six of Pentacles. So the Two of Cups to me is a really great card, but because it's in reverse, it tells me that there's some kind of blockage here. So I like to work from kind of like the back forward. So why is this blocked for you, right? And that's a situation that's an answer that's going to vary for a lot of you guys, but I think that one of the possible issues that you guys might be experiencing is that you sort of tend to cling on to people and assign them to be soulmates and not really like taking the time to really get to know them, right? Like some of you guys may be guilty of moving too fast. Some of you guys might be guilty of not wanting commitment, right? So those are some possible issues that I would see very commonly when you have the Two of Cups in reverse. Also, I think that another thing might be sort of this sense of codependency. Don't try to look for a relationship in order to sort of distract yourself from the inner work that you need to do, right? Like I was talking about earlier here, this is a lot of inner work, and this is a beginning that stems from an ending from all this work, I feel. And don't like use someone as a distraction, right? Because that's kind of a coping mechanism a lot of people have in order to sort of avoid dealing with some of those harder, more difficult issues that are more painful, right? And I'm not here to like be rude or excessively mean to you or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is the energy that the cards speak to me when I see this kind of combination here. Another thing here is that we have the Six of Pentacles. Now, the Six of Pentacles talks about generosity, but when I see sort of like blockages and this general vibe around it, there's a sense of being generous for the wrong reasons, right? So if you guys are being generous and you want to do something, make sure it's born out of your heart and not for any ulterior motive, right? Like for some of us, we might be overly generous because, for example, we feel guilty that we have nice things and other people don't, right? And, you know, that's not something that you should feel guilty for. Obviously, if you can, it would be nice for you to give as much as you can, but that's not something you should ever feel bad for. And another reason why people might overgive is because they feel sort of an obligation to, or a societal pressure, or maybe they'll feel as if they do this, it'll count as some kind of retribution for other things that they've done, right? And those are all things that I would recommend you take a look at, because when we want to be generous, it should be born from a place of mutual compassion and respect. either way, moving forward, I do want to congratulate you guys on the fact that you have the Knight of Cups, right? So the Knight of Cups is sort of the next step in progression of the Page of Cups. So that to me feels like an acceleration. It feels like things are going forward. However, we have this Four of Wands, right? Like I was saying earlier with this blockage of the Two of Cups, and I think I mentioned it earlier here still, there might be a sense of detachment or unwillingness to commit. So to me, the Four of Wands is the card of commitment, right? It's the card of leveling up your relationships and having them grow more profound. But when it's in reverse, it almost feels like there might be this energy of, again, commitment for the wrong reasons, such as like codependency or not really wanting to work on your own inner work, or it could be like lack of commitment, sort of like, because the Four of Swords can also, Four of Wands can also represent marriage as well. So this might be like somebody who gets engaged and then stands someone up at the altar. So those are all like extremes that we don't want. We want to be honest and open with our feelings, and especially with ourselves, so that we're able to understand why we feel the things that we do in order to move forward in a way that's as healthy as possible. And I do want to just like state that I'm not a relationship therapist or anything like that. So if you guys are feeling that you really need professional help, I would highly recommend seeking it out. But, you know, there's always things that you can do to really sort of identify some patterns in your relationships that might not be the greatest and work on them, right? Because we can always work on some things that we have a hard time with. But either way, like through all of this, the culmination that I see here is the Ten of Pentacles, right? And the Ten of Pentacles, I like to call it my happy wife, happy life card. And that to me is sort of a manifestation of your perfect home environment. So I always give like the example that for some people that might be a house with a white picket fence, two dogs, and two kids, right? Like whatever. And then for other people, that might be like a condo downtown with a cat, you know, like it just all depends on whatever you want. And at the end of the day, I feel like this is what you're working towards. This is your goal. And as long as you are willing to really take a hard and honest look at yourself and the situations that you're in and things on or about around you, I think that you guys are going to get there really, really effectively, really successfully. So that was your reading for this time around, Libra. I do just want to summarize it a little bit, is that there's a lot of positive energy here. There's just also an equal amount of blockages that you guys need to work through, but at the same time, that means that the more blockages you're able to work through, the more sort of blessings you're going to be able to receive. So like I said earlier, whatever that looks like to you is what you should do, right? For some people that might be meditation, for some people that might be therapy, right? So just take an approach that works for you. And hopefully if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like or a comment, because it really helps out the channel. And I personally really love to know if these readings resonate with you guys. But like I said before, I upload my new Libra videos on Monday. But in the meantime, you guys are more than welcome to watch any of my other timeless readings that I have up on the channel. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time for your next reading.